Good morning, third graders. Today, we are going to spend some time talking about animal migration. And I want you to take a look at this picture that you see here, and I want you to think about it as we continue to talk about what migration is and how animals migrate. And I want you just to keep this picture in the back of your mind, and we're going to come back to it in just a little bit. Now, many animals have one important thing in common. Geese fly in a V shape high in the sky. That was similar to the picture we just saw. Hundreds of monarch butterflies gather on a tree trunk to rest during their long flight to Mexico. Even sea turtles gather on Florida beaches in the spring and summer. Now, these are just a few examples of migrations that are made every year. I'm a mig- a migration is the movement of insects, animals, or sometimes even people from one location to another, thousands of miles apart. In this week's story that we are going to read together, it is called The Journey Stories of Migration. We are going to learn why two very different creatures, a gray whale, which is a very large ocean animal, and a locust, which is a very small insect, why do they migrate? And also, where do they go when they migrate? So, I found a fun fact about the gray whale. The gray whale is one of the animal kingdom's great migrators. Traveling in groups called pods, some of these giants swim 12,430 miles round trip from their summer home in the Alaskan waters to the warmer waters off the Mexican coast. Wow, that is incredible. That is a very long travel that they have in the water. Now, the second animal or creature that we are going to read about this week is called a locust. Now, you might not know what a locust is. Here's a picture of one. It looks kind of like a grasshopper in that same family, but I bet here in Minnesota you have heard a locust before. So I am going to play a little sound for you, and I want you to see if you recognize this very popular summer sound, even in Minnesota. Now, I bet if you were to go outside in during a summer evening, I bet you will hear that if you haven't already heard that noise before. The locusts are even here in Minnesota, and we hear them in the summertime. Now, you're going to learn about where these locusts go and where these whales go as we read this story, the Journey: Stories of Migration by Cynthia Rylant. Here are a few other fun facts just about animal migration. Some of those animals, as they respond to the changing seasons, they might move to a new location. So, like that gray whale, he is normally living in the waters off the coast of Alaska. Well, we know that in the winter months, the cold winter months, that water might get too cold for them. So now they can tell that the seasons have changed and they start to migrate towards the water near Mexico. Another reason an animal might migrate is because they are looking to find some food. Maybe their source of food also migrates, and so they need to follow that food source. Or maybe they eat things that grow on trees, like berries or nuts or seeds, and those trees go dormant in the winter months, and so they don't produce food, so the animal needs to migrate in order to find other food. Sometimes a migration cycle will happen every year, and this happens in most cases. Like with the changing seasons, every fall or every winter, the animals will move to a new place. Now, some animals only will migrate a few miles. like maybe a few hundred miles, maybe just from, you know, somewhere in the United States, but some of them will migrate thousands of miles, much like the gray whale. Now, here are a couple of pictures for you. The bottom picture shows some birds that are flying in a V shape as they are heading out towards their migration, very similar to the picture we saw on the first slide. The top two pictures are monarch butterflies. We also see these in Minnesota. Now, I want you to just pause and think for a moment and think about these three pictures that I have. How do these photographs relate to the topic of migration? What do these pictures show us? And how do they illustrate what animals do when they migrate? One thing that I found very interesting between these three pictures is I don't see a single butterfly or a single bird as they are migrating. One thing that I think these pictures are trying to illustrate for us is that when animals migrate, they migrate in groups. So, whether that be a herd of buffalo that are migrating or the pod of whales that are migrating, most animals will migrate in a group. So, I thought that was very interesting. And you might, after listening to the story, you might be able to share some other things about what these pictures have in common with migration. All right, boys and girls, your job today is to listen to this video about migration. So when you are done listening to Mrs. Peterson's video, you're going to watch this video down here by the Science Kids, and she's going to explain a little bit more about migration and also give you some fun facts about migration. Now, those are your must-dos for today. If you haven't done so already, you also have an assignment in Raz Kids that has been given to you by your teacher. Now, remember when you have Raz Kids, we need to listen and read and take the quiz. Some of us will not be assigned to listening, so then that's not the option. But if the listening option is there, make sure we listen, that we read, and we take the quiz. We need to do both steps or all three steps in order for that assignment to be complete. Then I have some optional activities for you to do today. These are the may do options. Option number 1 is to read an article about monarch migration and to find out more interesting facts about monarchs. And then there are some questions. If you click on this orange document right here, the story will come up and also some questions. You can record those in a notebook, and if you would like to share those with your teacher, you could share them on Seesaw, or you could even share them in a Google Doc. We don't have an answer spot for the may do options in our student work slides. Option number 2 is a map. This gives you some coordinate points. So this is a good math activity as well. And you can plot some points on this map and you can track the monarch migration. Now, in order to do that one, you might have to ask an adult at home if they could help you print that. The third option is to watch a short video about the monarch butterfly migration. All right, boys and girls, I hope you learned some new fun facts about animal migration. Remember these facts as you listen to the story with Mrs. Heater tomorrow. Have a great day, boys and girls.